Hey, this is Mark Long from the Driven to Ride podcast, and this is my brand new Arai helmet that I am super stoked to be wearing. It is amazing. Big thank you to Arai for sending this over. But funny story, before they did, they were like, hey, what's your head shape? What size are you? I had no idea what to tell them. So I enlisted the help of our friends over at Cycle Gear to get properly fitted and measured. Let's see how that went. Hi, my name is Mark Long. I'm the host of the Driven to Ride podcast, and we are here at the beautiful Cycle Gear store in Merrillville, Indiana. And I'm here with my man Seth, who works here and is a wealth of knowledge about the beautiful Arai helmets that you see before us. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Seth, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing, Mark?
Good, doing well. So like I said, we're going to be talking about some Arai helmets and just also talk about how to fit properly a helmet, how to size a helmet for you, because a lot of people don't necessarily know how a helmet's supposed to fit. They don't know how to properly measure. They might not even know their head shape.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to get into all that. But first, let's talk about Arai helmets, because we've got some beautiful ones again in front of us. What makes them different than maybe any other helmet that you could find off the shelf?
So what's really great about Arai is that first starting off, they're doing a lot of things by hand still. They're doing that old school, well thought out, methodical, like manufacturing, while also putting all the new school and like the 21st century tech, right?
Yeah.
They have innovated so much throughout their decades of being alive and around. Arai takes things from the racetrack and then they move it over to what your everyday rider can use, right? So you're not only getting a lighter lid, you're getting a safer lid, you're getting that above and beyond, like meticulous, well thought out execution of their racing lids, just put for the everyday rider. And I think that's something that you can't really put a price on, but also the Arai name, you're not only getting quality, but you're getting safety out of that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think some comfort and lightness of helmets, those play into safety, right? Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, so when you rock a helmet that is too heavy or even too big for you, you're going to be dealing with discomfort. You're going to be dealing with, your neck is supporting that.
Right.
So, you're going to be having to deal with that all day. And if you become more fatigued quicker, then you can't do longer rides. And when you're more fatigued, you become less focused, and that can be a danger to you and everyone around you. When you're rocking a lid that's actually made and tailored for you, that is designed to be lightweight and aerodynamic, you're getting less drag on you, you're getting less stress on you, and with that, you can not only enjoy the ride, you can have a safer ride.
Yeah, and that's what we're all about, riding better, riding for longer, and enjoying it
100%.
You don't want to let a bad helmet from stopping you from going out on a ride. Right?
Oh, yeah.
That's a terrible thing. So,
oh, yeah.
You talked about safety a little bit. Let's talk about DOT and Snell. Those are the two big safety markers for helmets, at least here in the U.S.
Right.
There's other markers as well in Europe and all that. But all of these helmets and all of Arai's helmets are DOT and Snell certified. So let's talk about that a little bit. Tell me what DOT and Snell mean.
Oh, yeah. So DOT, of course, Department of Transportation, they've been doing testing for all different helmets for a long time, but that's just the starting point for most lids. You got the European rating like we talked about before. There's FIM, which is in a whole different plane of existence, but that's generally for those GP lids. Mm-hmm. But Snell is a private company that will see a lid and they'll go, this helmet looks like it's going to be good for the racetrack, so let's test it even further than what DOT has. But for that, it's still a starting point for Arai. They're going to be testing in-house and going above and beyond what the safety standards are for Snell and DOT.
Wow, okay.
So you can't even see a sticker for that, but you can actually feel it and know it. And through most people that have unfortunately had a mishap in an Arai helmet, they can attest to it because there is just so much going on with the safety of these. Their glance-off system, that's why they're very round on the outside. Mm-hmm. They believe that if it's as round as possible, it's going to glance off obstacles that are on the road. So if you're sliding on your noggin, it's going to be doing, I know, trust me. I always tell folks that, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have a helmet on whenever I wrecked. And this right here is just foolproof, not only insurance, but it is a lid that's going to be comfortable and it's also going to be safe. Mm-hmm. And that's just, for me, that's the most important thing.
100%. And you mentioned that all of these kind of look round on the outside, but they're not necessarily round on the inside.
Right.
Let's talk about head shapes a little bit.
Yeah.
It's one of the things, I mean, when I first started riding, I had no idea about head shape.
Oh, you and me both.
Maybe you see it online, maybe it's like, I don't know what my head shape is. It's normal, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Normal head shape. But there's actually 3 different sizes. Tell me about those 3 different sizes and how important they are to fitting a helmet.
Oh yeah, so you've got the standard intermediate oval, that's the majority of riders, and then you're gonna branch from side to side, and that'll be a long oval and a round oval. And we're gonna be talking about the top of your head, how it goes from here to here, right? So the long oval is going to be, it's gonna be more of a narrow shape on the sides, but it's gonna be a little longer on the front to back. And then you got your round oval that's almost a perfect round from looking up. It might be a little bit long on the front and back, but it's mostly a perfect round, and then intermediate somewhere in between. And that's why most helmet manufacturers will rock the intermediate, because most riders can feel comfortable and fit comfortably in there without much compromise. But getting that specific fit for those long and round head shapes, you notice the difference immediately. Sure. And that's why those exist too.
Yeah, and again, that's basically step 1 to figuring out if a helmet's gonna work for you. So let's do it. Let's see what my head shape is and figure it out.
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
All right, so now we talked about it, let's actually do it. We're gonna figure out what head shape I have, and we're gonna figure out how large this dome is, aren't we, Seth?
For sure, let's get cracking.
All right, show me how to do it.
So what we do is, easiest thing, we can just take a picture.
Okay.
You can even get a feel for it if you don't have a phone handy.
Okay.
But since we do, we're gonna do it the right way, and we're gonna take a picture of the top of your noggin here. So your hair is generally running shorter, so that's good. For those who have longer hair or maybe even curlier hair,
right,
it's better to like swoop it back. We can even do like running a helmet liner, or if you've already ridden and you're looking to upgrade your lid, you probably already have your helmet flat or your hair flat, so that's a good thing. So if we take a look at your head shape here, you look like you're gonna be an intermediate oval.
Okay. All right, well, now that we've got the head shape, why don't we measure and see what size we're looking at.
Perfect.
And what's the best way to do that?
So we actually do have an Arai branded tape measure, but generally you just want a tape measure that's generally used for a tailor measurement. Basically, you want something that'll wrap around the head. Most manufacturers will do it in millimeters, but if the off chance that they do in inches, Cycle Gear and Revzilla's website does do conversion if you've measured it either way. If you don't have access to that, just make sure you keep track of the number. We're gonna measure you multiple times. Generally, you wanna do at least 2 or 3 times because you wanna average out the highest number, right? So let's get cracking. So we're gonna actually start right up here at the top of the brow. That's gonna be the widest point of the crown. So we're gonna go ahead and get started there. I'm gonna wrap around.
It's an art and a science.
It is an art and a science. 50, 59. We'll do one more just to be on the safe side, because you never know what measurement you're gonna get. Let me make sure that you're good on that side here, and then pull it back down. Yep, 58. So we're gonna do 59. So that means you are rocking a large. You're right in between there. So 59/60 is where your large at is on Arai. And for those who don't know, every manufacturer is different on sizing. So not all one size fits all when it comes to measurement, but Arai is really good at posting it all on their website, and it's also available on our website too.
Perfect. So now we figured out the head size, we figured out the shape, we've sized everything properly, feel really good to start trying on some helmets. But before we do that, talk about why it's so important to get fitted by either a professional like yourself, or maybe somebody else if you're not able to get to a bike shop or your local Cycle Gear.
For sure. So I think we've all tried to like measure our head for something, right? It's very difficult. So we try to mitigate bias, because we all know that if you really crave that lid that you want, you're gonna try any way that you can to try and make sure that fits.
It's gonna work, it's gonna fit,
yeah,
I swear.
Even though your head shape may not work for it and you're just not figuring it out, but also having a professional or somebody else that at least knows what they're doing to at least measure your head to bring it in so you can actually try them on properly. It's just making sure that you mitigate all of those issues that you might run into when you're just walking in blindly and just trying stuff on, or just buying online and going, I think I'm a large, you know, and that's also like a safety issue, right? So just having someone to be able to look at it, measure you properly, and be able to be, you know, unbiased about finding the right shape for you.
Yeah.
It makes a world of difference, because then you're going to be having a helmet that's perfect for you, and you don't feel like it's gonna add fatigue to yourself or be uncomfortable.
just going to be better overall. And and to dive a little bit deeper into the reason behind getting professionally fitted and measured is that these helmets all have different shell sizes.
Correct.
And sometimes, depending on the manufacturer, shells might be shared among sizes. And of course, Arai has 4 different shell sizes, but that's not always the case with every manufacturer.
Correct. Some of them will only have 2 or 3. With that, it just means that you have a outside shell of your helmet, and a small and a medium might share the same shell, or like a medium large.
Right.
And then how they counteract that fitment on the inside is they add thicker cheek pads, or the crown might be a different shape or size. The beauty of that means the more shell size you have, the more uniform the fit is, and the more it's contoured to your head. You don't have that bobblehead look from a bigger shell. With that comes rider fatigue. It comes with more drag on your head, so you're constantly doing this, and that's not what a helmet's supposed to do. A helmet's supposed to be safe and also comfortable, so adding more shell sizes just makes the fit a lot more uniform and a lot more dialed in, so to speak. Yeah.
Well, now that we've got the measurements and we know kind of the why behind the measurements and the fitting, let's go try on some helmets.
Heck yeah. All right, so we got you fitted. We got your head shape all set up. So the best part is we get to do the fun thing. We get to go ahead and try on some helmets.
Love it.
Awesome. So we're actually going to put you in a large. This is going to be the Arai Contour X. This is a great lid. It's the best blend of that racing heritage with the everyday rider in mind. So let's go ahead and give this bad boy a shot.
All right, let's give it a try. Moment of truth, right?
Yeah.
Moment of truth. Ooh, oh, that feels good though.
So it's going to feel snug, so you're going to have the thing, what we call chipmunk cheeks. If you look at his face, kind of looks like they're scrunching up together. It's a good thing, because once those cheek pads do break in, it's going to be more form-fitted to your face. But if you actually do feel like it's a little too snug, like I said, on pretty much most of their lids, they're going to have 5mm inserts in the cheek pads that are removable to just dial in that fitment a little bit better. But the one thing we also need to focus on is the crown. Do you feel any hot spots? It feels like someone's poking you, like any pressure points that are just acute. It should just feel snug.
Feels snug, like a nice hat.
Awesome. So, see, this is what it looks like when you have a perfect fit. And once you know, you know. The problem is you're going to be in a lid that's too big, and we're going to actually swap it out and show you what it looks like in an XL.
Yeah, because you did say that I might be an XL and it's worth a try.
Correct.
And that's why you have different sizes.
Oh, yeah.
At Cycle Gear to be able to try out things like that. So let's try an XL, see what happens. Oh yeah, this feels too loose already. I don't even need to. Don't even. And the other thing too is the little shake test. That shakes too much.
For sure. If your helmet goes one way and you stay the other way, that's not how a helmet's supposed to work. So that's why a perfect sized helmet will definitely do you a much better job in the long run. Not only it's safe, it's going to be way more comfortable too.
Yeah, this feels just a hair too big, and that brings up a good point about breaking in helmets.
For sure. So break-in period on helmets are really simple. The one thing you want to worry about is getting those cheek pads form-fitted to your face. When you have those chipmunk cheeks going on, they're going to dial back just a little bit. You're going to gain about maybe 15-20% of that space back, but it's going to be just a perfect contour of your cheek, right? It's not necessarily memory foam, but it's definitely just putting that pressure in there. We always say just go watch a movie at your house, do the dishes. You know, I binge watch your favorite show. I've done it with every helmet that I've broken in because most places do returns if they haven't been ridden in. So that's just one way to mitigate that. And it also is just kind of fun because I remember watching, my wife will show up and go, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, safety first. You don't know. I'm going to be watching a movie. You never know what's going to come at me." But break-in period is very important because when you have a helmet that's too loose, it's already too loose. You're not going to get a form fit. And with one that's running a little bit snug, if you put up with it just for a little bit longer, breaking it in at the house, you're going to immediately feel that difference when you go out for a ride and you're going to go, "Oh, this is what a helmet's supposed to feel like."
Right. Yeah, and I mean, really, that difference between the large and the extra large it's subtle, but it's like you said, once it fits properly and it fits right, you know it's right, and you know everything else doesn't fit as well.
There's no going back once you know.
So, well, thanks for getting me fitted with the right size. I'm excited for this Contour X.
For sure. Me too.
Okay, before we go, we wanted to talk about ways to care for your helmet inside and out, and talk about some cool accessories that you can get for your helmet as well. So, what do we got?
For sure. Let's just talk about caring for your helmet. One thing that's great about most lids nowadays, you're going to have an antimicrobial lining. Arai takes that a step further, and it's probably one of the most comfortable liners that you'll have in a helmet. I remember putting my head in one of these things. I just go, oh, this is what perfection feels like. And that's not even a joke.
Sure.
So I like to ride. Sometimes I get a little lazy. The cool thing about it is that these are removable, and you can actually throw these in the wash, so you don't have to worry about degrading the foam on the inside. And there's also 5 millimeters of space that you can actually remove on the cheek pads, and on most of them you'll actually have ear hole cutouts that go in the liner versus the actual foam, because of course they're big believers on keeping everything as uniform as possible on the inside. I really love that.
Yeah.
But if you actually do take care of your helmet on a regular basis, the easy thing to do is you actually can get foam cleaners or mild detergent, nothing with a degreaser or anything like that. You just take it into your helmet and you spray the foam in there and you rub it with a microfiber cloth, you're pretty much good as go. So I love that because it's super easy. If you do it once a week or after a couple of rides, it's not so bad. It takes like 30 seconds to a minute. But if you're like me, sometimes you get a little neglectful. It is nice that you can throw them in the wash.
Yeah, you put your helmet on and you take a sniff or two and realize that smells real bad. Stripping these things off and putting them in the wash, way easier.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about visors real quick, because that's usually the main accessory that people get too, and there's a ton to choose from. So tell me what we got in front of us.
Yeah, we talked about looking cool in a helmet while also being safe. You can actually look even more cool throwing like iridium visors that are like the blue color. There's fire, there's gold even. Cool. They rock dark smoke. Even a lot of helmets nowadays are even rocking the photochromatic that are auto tinting as well. But Arai has a very intricate system with their shield system. If you've noticed, a lot of helmets nowadays have drop-down sun visors.
Right.
Again, the mantra of Arai, they don't want to ruin the integrity of the EPS foam inside. They're big believers in keeping it as uniform as possible. So on this helmet here, you can actually see their Pro Shade system.
Yeah.
The Pro Shade system's great because it is a drop-down sun visor just on the outside of your helmet. So it does exactly what you want it to do while also not ruining the integrity of the inside of their shields or their helmets.
Yeah.
It pops up. It's also ventilated on the outside up here, so you actually don't get a lot of drag still, so you don't get that lift that you would think whenever it's popped up.
Through, yeah.
For sure. And then it comes back down, and it also still is pin lock ready, and we haven't even discussed pin locks, and that is a cool feature.
Yeah, tell me about pin lock real quick.
So pin locks are a dual insulation chamber that goes in your helmet. I'm gonna bring this one up real quick. So actually you'll see these little spots right here on the left and right side. They hook in on the inside of your helmet. And with that, there's a silicone band. That silicone band seals that inside. So like I said, a dual insulation chamber. So that hot air and cold air can't mingle. Right. And you basically get a fogless ride. Because we all know that helmets come with an anti-fog coating. And if you don't, this is news to you, it wears down pretty quick. You can reapply that over time. It's fine, you can do that, but the pin lock is just a much cheaper alternative for a permanent fixture versus spending $8 every 6 months. Right. You know, yeah, it's $8, but the pin lock also is just so convenient because you throw it in once and we install them for free here. It's super easy. It just makes the ride 10 times better.
And if you're a year-long rider like yourself, I mean, cold weather, cold Midwest weather, I mean, you don't want to deal with fog, man.
You never know what you're going to get. You might get a 70-degree day, and then it's a 40-degree evening, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, that about covers it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Seth, for being with us. Thanks to the beautiful Cycle Gear of Maryville, Indiana for hosting us, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.